God, we thank you so much. We believe that this morning. That you are the God who is still working. God, I pray for anyone here who's tired of working, that they remember you are hard at work. You are with us. You're not just with us, you're ahead of us. And I pray we will look to you. We will keep our eyes up on you. Remember, your son has already run the race, and he sits there waiting with open arms. We run your direction. We love you, and we ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. Hello again, church. Hello. Nice tie, buddy. We're going to talk about perseverance this morning, which is a hard word to spell, let alone do. When I was preparing the sermon, I typed in Perseverance, and thank God for spell check. Like, nope, that's not how you spell it. It's perseverance. It is. It's a tough thing to spell, and it really is a tough thing to do sometimes. I want to share a story with you guys, if you don't mind. I want to tell you a story of how dumb I can be. You guys okay with that? Yeah, sure. Okay. So we're going to talk about Marathon de Santiago, which wasn't a thing until about 13 years ago. In the year 2007, Santiago, Chile came up with their own full deal marathon and half marathon. I didn't know that. And in 2008, I was planning to run a marathon in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, not Santiago, Chile. Things would go different. So what happened is I told you guys, I think before, that I always wanted to see this statue in Rio de Janeiro. And at the time, I started to run further. I ran a 5K, and that went pretty well, and 10K, and I didn't die. And so people said, hey, you should keep going. And so I did a half marathon, and that went pretty well. And people started encouraging me to go for the full thing. And I thought, hey, why not? You can do 13, right? You can do 26. And so I started to research it. As I researched it, someone had shared with me, it was a really helpful tip. They said, if you're going to run far away. And so I started to look up marathons that were really cool, pretty places. I looked up Hawaii. That's a big, very popular one. And I found one in Rio de Janeiro. It's a very, very popular, very beautiful one. I want to show you guys a picture of what the race looks like. Who wouldn't want to run there, right? You've got the water, you've got the beach, you've got the greenery, you've got the mountains, you of course have the statue. And so I started looking into this marathon. And about the exact same time as God would have it, I went to church, and the speaker that morning was the missions pastor. And the whole focus of the whole message, and this might happen to you, I'm giving you a heads up, was about missions. And how every single one of us can go and contribute to missions in some way. And one of the things he said that affected me at the time I wasn't in full-time ministry, he shared that if you like to travel and you want to serve, you could be doing missions. You literally get to travel to other parts of the world, and you can go, and when you get there, you can bless people when you get there. And so all of a sudden I'm thinking, hey, if I want to go to Rio de Janeiro to run a marathon, I'm sure there's some way I can serve in South America. So I'm keeping it pretty broad. I actually got done with that message and went and talked to a friend of mine, and we had a heart kind of at the time for orphanages and working with orphans, and we wanted to see the Amazon. So I couldn't make this up. Literally, we Googled orphanage in the Amazon. And there is one, and it's called Casa de Fe, House of Faith. It's still there. I still am connected and support and love the people who are there. And so we decided I was going to go and run a marathon here in Rio de Janeiro, and then go over to Ecuador and work in the orphanage. Everything laid out, or so I thought. So I had been training. I had reduced the amount of miles that I was running. I had literally changed my diet. I had raised $1,000 for this orphanage. People said, hey, if you're going to do your first marathon, we can pay money so we don't have to do it, right? And so they literally contributed all this money so that the money would all go to the orphanage. And I had everything laid out to make this trip until I got to the airport. Now, when I got to the airport, this is back in the days of physical tickets, right? So those tearaway tickets, and I go up to the counter, and I go to the counter right off the check-in kiosk. We're still talking to humans at that point, right? It was 2008. And so I show up, and they say, can I have your ticket? And I said, yeah, the ticket. Can I have your passport? They're like, yep, there you go, passport. She goes, okay, can I have your visa? And I said, sure. And I pulled this out, and I pulled out my Visa credit card, and I showed it to her. Now, to be fair to her, she did not laugh at me. She smirked, and I saw the smirk, and she said, sir, I'm sorry, it's not your Visa credit card. I need a visa. You're going to Brazil. And to go to Brazil, you need a visa. And I said, and I quote, the guy at the hotel in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, told me I didn't need a visa. like that dude works at the embassy, right? And she says to me, and again, she's got this light smirk, because at this point I can have gone on Google, right, and look this up. She said, sir, I'm sorry. I can't let you get on this plane because they're not going to let you off in Brazil. So you're not going to be able to go. So I am freaking out, and I decide that I am going to go to the embassy the next day and try to get a visa rush. The issue with that is, one, when I called, there was no guarantee. Two, it is Thursday afternoon when I'm at LAX. Okay? I'm trying to fly Thursday night, land Friday afternoon or evening, and then have Saturday to adjust, and then get up on Sunday to run the marathon. If I go to the embassy on Friday, she's going to put me on a flight Friday night. I get into Rio de Janeiro after my connection late Saturday night and get up at 5 a.m. on Sunday to run the marathon. Not happening. That assumes I get the visa, right? So I called my friend. I was like, all right, I've got $1,000 I've got to get to an orphanage. And that was only paid so I can run. I've been training forever. I've changed my entire diet the last month. I have got to run 26.2 miles somewhere. She literally goes on Google and Googles marathons in South America. Like anywhere. And of course, there's none other than the one in Rio de Janeiro. And we decided my connection to Rio de Janeiro was in Santiago, Chile. And I said, well, Santiago, Chile's got to be big enough for me to just start running. And so I decided in that situation, what I was going to do was fly to Santiago, Chile. I didn't need a visa, and I was just going to get in the city somewhere and just start running. And so that's what happened. I flew into Santiago, Chile. What I found was something that looked like this. Now, I don't know if you can tell from the picture. Do you see the mountains? Hardly, right? Because of the air. This is what the air looks like in Santiago, Chile. It's a pretty place. You get a chance to check it out. Because it's surrounded by mountains, it's a bowl of pollution. And so I'm leaving the airport, I'm heading to my hotel, and I'm looking out, and I'm like, I'm going to run in this? And then when I got there, and you'll see that it's a pretty urban environment. There's literally dogs, like stray dogs running around, people running around. I was like, all right, I'm here. I'm going to do this. I said I was going to do this, and so I just started running. Sunday morning, I woke up. I had my Garmin GPS watch. I didn't have a map, but I had a GPS watch showing me how far I was going. I had my iPod shuffle with all the music I had trained with, right? I had my energy gel in this pocket, and I had 10,000 Chilean pesos. Sounds like a lot. $13. Okay? So I took $13 because I got to buy my water, I got to buy my Gatorade, I got to buy my snacks. There's no one giving me anything, right? I'm just running randomly through this thing. So took off and started running and running and running and running and running. And parts that look like this. Part of it, they have something called a zoo. Don't go to the zoo. It's a bunch of like little animals and kennels and like chicken coops. That's their zoo. I ran right through that little thing, right? Now, to be fair, there are some pretty parts of Santiago. This is a park I got to. And this park, not only was it pretty, I know at this point, I'm at like mile 19 or 20. And I'm like sort of in range of my hotel, and I don't want to get too far away. Because I know once I'm done with the marathon, I am probably not going to make it home, all right? So I hit this park, and it's pretty, and I said, I'm going to start running circles around this thing. So I do. I start running laps around this beautiful park, and in that park, there was a bench. And on that bench was a teenage couple doing what you would expect a teenage couple to be doing on a bench in a park. And I am running by them repeatedly. And I knew things got bad when this started to happen. They started clapping, literally, for me while I was running. I was like, this has got to end at some point. So I knew I have to leave the park, and I also know I'm really, really thirsty. So I found one of these carts. This is like a really nice, like probably like New York City cart, right? Picture this times like a half, okay? And there's a lady in a cart, and she's got Gatorade and there's stuff that I need because, frankly, I just need to keep going, right? And I reach into my pocket, and I go over to this cart, and this lady, of course, speaks perfect Spanish, and I don't. And I just point at the Gatorade. And she says, I think, 600 pesos. And I go into my pocket, and I have 500 pesos. She wants 600, I got 500. So she just says 600, I say 500. She says 600, I say 500. We're going nowhere. I'm pointing. She's like, I don't know how to help you. It's this much. And so literally, I said to her, I said, no mas. And I took the 500 and I just held it in front of her. I'm sweating, I'm pink, I'm red. She doesn't know what I've been through. I think she felt so sorry for me that she finally said, okay. And she took my 500, she gave me the Gatorade, and I was so thirsty and so excited, I took off from this cart and kept running. Now, about a quarter, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile or a mile later, I looked down at my watch to see how I'm doing, and the watch was stopped. Exactly. When I pulled up to this thing and having my debate with this lady about how much the Gatorade cost, I had stopped my watch because I didn't want to lose the time. And that stopped tracking how far it was. And I was like, oh no. No. This is the only proof that a marathon is happening. So when I'm done, this sucker has got to read 26.2. So I started and I just kept going. And we calculated that probably at the time I got done, I had hit 27 miles of them. 27 miles. As my buddy called it, was the first ever annual solo Scott Hinsche Marathon of Santiago, Chile. And I remember the end, not because of what happened, there was no finish line. I remember there was this section of grass near the finish line. It was just some random section of grass. And it was so appealing because I was so tired. And I laid down. And that was my first mistake. Right before passing out, God was like, get up. Like, you have got to get up. And I remember standing up and crawling to my hotel and being so glad it was done. And I've looked back on this moment multiple times in my life, like multiple times. And I will tell you guys, I never once have regretted not getting my visa. God taught me something really powerful in this situation. One, be prepared, right? Don't trust the guy in the hotel on your travel plans. But it was just, life's not easy. Life is hard. And when life gets hard, we all have a choice. We're going to do it, and we're going to go after it, or we're not. And it's one thing, right, to talk about a marathon. We can laugh about that, but life presents us way harder challenges. And we got a choice. Are we going to persevere, or are we not? Every single day we get to make this choice. And perseverance literally means persistence in doing something despite difficulty, or delay in achieving success. Perseverance isn't keeping going when it's easy. You can do that, right? Perseverance is keeping going when it's tough. And if there is one thing I want you guys to remember from today, it's this. Please don't quit. I don't know what your race is. I don't know what your marathon is. I don't know what your hurdle is. I don't know what your speed bump is. I don't know what your wall is. Please don't quit. God didn't design quitters. He designed people made in his image who can keep going the distance. But we live in a world where we're being affected, and we know this very well as a community, by people who are every day choosing to quit. Every year, approximately 800,000 people take the lives God has given and walk away. This is 2017. 800,000 people around the world. And most people think this number is low because most countries don't document this well, which means it's closer to 1 million people. And to put this in perspective for you, this means that every single 40 seconds, one person takes their life. Which means approximately 18 to 20 people died just as I started talking. We know this as a community. We just lost a young man. We've lost multiple young people. This country and this world is losing a ton of young people. At this point, it's actually a leading cause of death among young people. A leading cause is young people taking that matter into their own hands. That's a responsibility for us and for them. To be there for them, to encourage them, to pray for them, and for us, if we're in that situation, we're going to talk about this in a minute, to let other people in so we don't have to walk this road alone. Now, guys, I got to talk to us for a minute. It's worse for us. You should know that the male suicide rate is twice as high as it is. Twice as high. I will be honest with you guys. I have had more than once in my life that I've called out to God and I said, I'm tired of this ride. It's spinning. I want to get off. I'm done. And I'm so glad it didn't end, but I know those moments are there, and I want to encourage you guys again to remember one thing this morning. Please, don't quit. Don't quit on your lives. Don't quit on your relationships. Don't quit on your situations. Just keep going. And the Bible has some pretty helpful advice, actually, on perseverance I want to walk us through this morning. Daniel's the first part of the Bible actually uses this word perseverance in Daniel 12:12, and it says, happy are those who persevere and attain 1,335 days. Of course, he's speaking directly about that end times prophecy and just making it through to the end. So when Jesus comes back, and we see a glimpse of it in Daniel, we see the full thing in Revelation, right? But he's really talking on a daily basis too. Just happy are those who just keep going. I want to make sure you understand this word happy. This word in the Bible for happy is a little different than our word happy. It's not like that song, okay? Happiness is blessedness. This word can be translated in the Old Testament and the New Testament as happy or blessed. It's directional. It comes from somewhere, it's something. And in the Bible, it comes from God. Not our circumstances, not our situation, but from God. And he says, blessed are those who just keep going. The word he uses here is ameno. And I love this word, M-N-O. It's literally like the 3 letters after the letter L. And it means stay, persist, abide, persevere. Just keep going. I've been blessed to be there for a number of people who have gone through moments like this. They've gone through just the lowest point in their life. And honestly, when I'm there, the only things I can think to tell them is, 1, I'm praying for you. But 2, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Might not feel like it, but you can do it. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I love this Tom Hiddleston quote. You keep putting one foot in front of the other. And one day, you look back and you climb the mountain. And if you've done this, you know this is true. I've been blessed a couple times to do Mount Whitney. That's exactly how you do Mount Whitney. One foot in front of the other for 22 miles. And you get done and you're like, that happened. That happened. And I would encourage you guys, you might look back at your lives and you can probably see some mountains that you climbed. And one of the reasons you've done that is I would encourage you and even challenge you. You might have someone around you who's at the foot of that mountain. They're looking up. And they need you to encourage them. And say, no, I've been able to do that. God has helped me do it. I've gone to the top and I've come down. And I know you don't feel like you can do it, but you can do it. And I'm going to be here for you every single step of the way. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't quit. The other thing we have to know about perseverance, and I think it's ironic but very helpful, is Daniel 12:13. The very next verse says, but you, go your way and rest. You shall rise for your reward at the end of the day. So go and stop. Rest. Take a break. And honestly, I think we live in an age where this is such important advice. We're consuming energy rates and energy drinks at an alarming rate. We're consuming coffee like we never have before. And we have to pause and remember that God literally designed us to shut down and rest approximately 1/3 of our life. 1/3. If God wanted to wire us and design us to run 24 hours a day, I've asked, and he hasn't changed anything, he would have. He designed this literally such that 1/3 of our lives is spent horizontal, resting, or sleeping. The Bible says if you're going to make it to the end of this race, you are going to have to stop and pause and rest. The other thing we need is prayer. You cannot persevere without prayer. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in prayer. If you want to make it to the end of the race, you've got to talk to God while you're doing it. If you want to make it to the end of the race, you've got to talk to God while you're doing it. And this comes in different forms. Sometimes it shows up and you just pray and talk to him during the day. Those times I shared before where I've had that moment where I literally said, God, I want to stop the ride. I want off. And literally sometimes would go to sleep talking to God about how I was feeling. And sometimes it was crying out. Sometimes it was just taking my favorite verse and repeating it over and over again. You know, people will say, like, I don't want to pray and I don't want to talk to God and then fall asleep because I don't want to fall asleep while talking to God. I think it's good, right, to pray like when you're awake and alert and all that. But think about it. If you're God and you're looking down at you, wouldn't you rather we fall asleep talking to him than not? I think it's perfectly okay that we fall asleep talking to him. Middle of the day, end of the day, whatever it takes, just keep talking to him and keep talking to someone else. Please bring other people into your situation. Ephesians 6:18 says, pray in the Spirit at all times, in every prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert and always persevere. There's that word again. In supplication for all the saints. So not only do we pray for ourselves, means we've got to pray for someone else. Now, the only way really that someone else can pray for us is if we let them know where we're at. We got to let people in. Most recently, there was a man up in Oregon who confided with me that he had a whole bunch of things going on, depression, mental illness, and things like that. He said that at one point in his life, he decided he was going to end it. That didn't happen. And he was in that situation again. And he wanted someone to be there for him. They said, hey, I'll be there as much as I can. And so you know what that's like if you've been through this. This is phone calls at random times of the day and night, and text messages at random times of the day and night. I tried to respond as much as I could, and I would respond, and he was okay. He did fine for months. And then he moved. He left Oregon, went back to the Midwest, to be closer to family, and his daughter was back there, and things like that. And he'd reach out, and I would call back, and he'd text, and I'd text back, and he would email, and I would email him back. And then all of a sudden that slowed down. And then I noticed I called back, and there was no call. And he texted, and I texted, and there was no text back. And then it all stopped. And it wasn't surprising when a couple weeks later, his ex, ironically, was the other one who was watching out for him, called to let me know that he was no longer with us. Because this is real stuff. I think we're all close enough to understand this is real stuff. And if you're there, please, please, please don't stay there, man. Let someone else in. And if you're not there, look for someone who is. And it could be something like the look on their face, the lack of time you've seen them, how long it takes them to respond to a text message. It can be any number of things. But please, if you're there, let someone in. And if you're not, try to get in as graciously as you possibly can. And sometimes it looks like showing up someone's doorstep, knocking, and seeing how they're doing, and they just completely stop responding. And the other thing the Bible says that we need in our race is His Word. James 1:25 says, but those who look into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and persevere, be not hearers who forget, but doers who act, they will be blessed in their doing. This book has power. This word has incredible power still. Whether in the written form, in the form we can get easily on our phones. I love how it's described here, the perfect law, the law of liberty. That means freedom. The law of freedom from all of that. And you will not just hear it, but do it. So read it, study it in a group, talk about it, know it, apply it to your life. It helps us to win this race. Now, as you run, it's good to persevere in the Word. It is not good to persevere in the world. 1 John 2:15-16 says, do not love the world or the things in the world. The love of the Father is not in those who love the world. For all that's in the world, the desire of the flesh, the desire of the eyes, the pride of riches, comes not from the Father, but from the world. And those times in my life when I was lowest, I was looking at the world, not God. The reason my disappointment was at an all-time low, the reason my hope was at an all-time low, is because I was disappointed in the stuff here. Wealth, success, relationships, none of which came from God. It came from stuff in this world. I had taken my eyes off of Him and I looked in this world, and the Bible says, don't do that. Don't love the world. So then when the world lets you down, you can say, yeah, the world does that. I live in this place, but my focus and my priorities aren't here. My eyes are up here. What I really love comes from Him, not from this world. Expect that it's going to let you down. And then keep running. Paul has probably one of the best sections on running and perseverance and not quitting. So I want to look at it in 3 parts. There's actually some really practical tips for how to persevere and keep running. Starting with 1 Corinthians 9:24. Do you not know that in a race, the runners all compete, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win. Now, I will confess to you guys, when I first heard this verse, I come from a very competitive family. Hinsches are very competitive. I'm just going to let you guys know right now. My dad is the one who taught me that second place is the first loser. Okay? So, when I got to this verse, I was like, yes! I can do this. I can compete in this. But that's not what Paul's getting at, right? Paul's not saying, yeah, your goal is to beat other people to Jesus. That's not what this is about, right? Jesus wants every single person to get there. And whatever time they get there, He just wants them to get there. It's not about beating others to Jesus. It's about not losing Christ ourselves. He is saying, run in such a way that you don't ever forget that there's a finish line. There's a 26.2 that you have got to get to. And it is his mission for your life, and it is different than it is for me. There's a specific mission and purpose for your life. Please, don't miss it. Just keep going. And don't lose sight of the one Jesus who's already beat us there. And he's sitting there and he's saying, come, just keep running. So yes, run with self-control. The next verse says, 1 Corinthians 9:25, athletes exercise self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, we an imperishable one. And forget running for a second. If you've ever competed in anything, exercise in anything, you know self-control is a big part of it. When I was running marathons, I was like 20 pounds less than I am now. I was training, eating differently. Like my whole deal was totally different when I was going after this race. And the Bible says it's not about a physical race. It's about an eternal race. And to get there, we've got to exercise self-control. But I don't know about you guys, when I walk out these doors, I'm not being encouraged to exercise self-control. I'm being encouraged to exercise self-indulgence. You do what you want. You do what you feel is best. Make a mistake? Don't worry about it. There's always tomorrow. And the Bible says, yeah, give yourself grace and make a mistake, but let's not do it again. Let's actually change ourselves. Let's condition ourselves to be better than we were the day before. And in Christ Jesus, we actually get to do this. So the run with self-control, and then the very next two verses, he says, go back. So I do not run aimlessly, nor do I box as though beating the air, but I punish my body and enslave it, so that after proclaiming to others, I myself should not be disqualified. In other words, run intentionally. Remember I told you guys I left that really fancy food cart in the park and I didn't start my watch? That 3/4 of a mile or a mile or whatever, that was just aimless. It didn't count for anything, right? It wasn't tracking it. God doesn't want us to run life like this. He wants us to run intentionally with a mission, with a purpose. I am so grateful for Rick Warren and that Purpose-Driven Life book that's literally affected millions of people that he got, by the way, right out of this book. And he reminded everyone, you have a gift, you have a mission, you have a purpose, run at that. Run at that. Not the stuff in the world we usually chase after. Run at your mission. Run at your purpose. Run at the Lord and don't stop. Now, to let you guys know, if you run, you will hit a wall. If you run, you know what the wall is. Okay? The wall is what happens when you're running. You do any kind of exercise, even if you want to think back to like your junior high days and running that mile in PE, you know what the wall is. It's that point where you literally feel like you can't do it anymore. And there's a perfectly good scientific explanation, by the way, for the wall. The wall is that moment in your body where you deplete all of the glycogen that you have stored in your body. In other words, the energy you had at the beginning, it's done. Your tank is empty. You know what the solution to hitting the wall is? Bring the energy with you. Do you remember I told you on that long run, I only had 10,000 pesos, but I had in my pocket energy. I took these little energy gels. I like goo. It's just fun to say goo. Also, I chose chocolate outrage as my flavor. It's just fun to like say, like chocolate outrage. That kept me going. I would take these things. I would take them with water. And it would give me the energy that I needed to keep going. And of course, I'm not telling you guys to go out and get goo and put it in your pockets. That's going to get messy, right? We've already talked about what we need to persevere. It's this book. It's prayer. It's his people. It's worship. Stick with it. So take this with you. Now you can walk around with the Bible in your hands, right? You can totally do that. Or now we've got our phones. You can put it right in there. Or better yet, put it in here and put it in here. Bring it with you. Remind yourself of it. Talk to other people about it. Pray through it. But I would encourage you, if you're going to bring it with you, make sure you take it. On one of my training runs, when I was going from the half marathon to the full marathon stage, I think it was doing like a 16 or 17 miler. I had taken off, and I just started getting used to taking this goo stuff. And I got home, and I was dusted. Like, even more dusted than I normally was after one of these runs. I was like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so tired? I was frustrated, I was panting, I was stretching, I was changing my clothes, and I was like, oh, man. In one of my pockets was an energy gel that I just didn't take. I was like, how stupid am I? I literally had the energy in my pocket, and I didn't even take it. Why did we do that? If we know this stuff, we should be using it, listening to it, repeating it, following. If you've got it, take it and run. And I encourage you guys. I now encourage you to persevere and run. Now check this out. God is persevering towards you. Israel. You've heard of Israel. It's that country over there, right? That originally was just a group of people that God looked down upon and said, I love you and I choose you. Israel, that word Israel, literally means persevering, which is so King James Version, right? What it really means is Yahweh strives. God strives. God chose this group of people and says, I'm striving for you. Even you went away from me, I'm striving for you. Even you let me down, I'm striving for you. In fact, I'm going to send my son to prove that I'm still striving for you. And that son, Jesus, showed up and said, God's only just striving for the Jews. He's striving for the Gentiles. I'm now striving for all of them. And that includes you. Think of that amazing, famous story of the prodigal son. The celebratory father was always looking up and away from his house for that son to come home. Always looking, always persevering. The moment he saw him, he ran. Persevered, he went after him. And he's still doing the exact same thing. The prodigal sons, the prodigal daughters, it doesn't matter. He's always looking, persevering and running, heading towards us. And so the only question for us is, do you strive towards God? If he's looking at you and he's striving towards you, he's running after you, he's still working, just like we sang this morning, are you working towards him? Are you looking towards him? Are you keeping your eyes towards him? Hebrews 12:1-2 gave us this image of Jesus as that target. Therefore, since we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the sake of the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, disregarding the shame, and has taken his seat at the right hand of the throne of God. Jesus is literally already at the finish line. And he's saying, keep your eyes on me. After first service, another fellow runner shared with me this awesome reminder that I remember getting when I was doing my super long hikes. If you've ever hiked, if you've ever run distance, you know where you should put your head. Up. You should look up. If ever you're hiking, you need to keep your head up. If you're running, you keep your head up because it allows oxygen and air to naturally go into your mouth and into your system. The problem is when things get down, what do we do? Exactly. We look down. We look at our steps, we look down at the ground, we're dismal. What we really need to do is keep our hands up, to look up, to let the air just normally and naturally come in. And what we're being told here is look up. Look towards the one who's already made it and just keep running. Just keep running. Now, there are some practical tips in here I want to make sure we see. He says run light. He literally says in here lay aside every weight. When I was doing my running, the longer I would run, the less I would wear and carry with me. I wasn't wearing pants, I was wearing shorts. I'm not bringing jackets because they're heavy. My shoes are light. I'm bringing dew, but I'm not bringing any water, right, because that's heavy. I'm running as light as I physically could. And in life, you're supposed to run the exact same way. Not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically. Remember last week we talked about fear, stress, and anxiety, and worry? And God says, don't carry that stuff. It's heavy. I want you to take that stuff off. I want you to lay aside all of that weight. And then second, he said, stop sinning. That sin that clings so close, he said, we just got to stop doing it. He's like, I've given you the instructions. They're right here. Any questions? You know what to do and what not to do. If you want to make it to the end of this race, the best way you can do it is do it the way I told you to do it. The stuff that you're doing that's slowing you down and distracting you and getting you off track, just stop doing it. And last but not least, run with perseverance. Again, one step at a time. Some days it's literally the best thing you can do. Is just put one foot in front of the other and see what God can do. Now, when I got done with that weird solo marathon in Chile, I decided I was going to come back and do a real deal one. Which I thought would be a lot easier, right? So there's a start line, there's a finish line, there's people throwing water at you. And so I decided to do the Long Beach Marathon. And I had done the Long Beach Half Marathon before. This up here is a picture of the Long Beach Half Marathon. And you literally run on that path on the beach next to the water. And the buildings are like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And I remembered most of the half marathon. What I remembered a little bit, but not well enough, is something that happened at the end of the half marathon. You see, that path is the exact same path for the half marathon as it is for the full marathon. And all the half marathoners run back and they head up to that finish line, the beautiful finish line, which is on Ocean Boulevard by the water. And right in front of that finish line, there's a sign for the marathoners. And it's a big arrow that says go that way. And it's not the water. Right before you hit that 13 miles, you get a sign that sends you into downtown Long Beach, inland Long Beach. And if you've been through Long Beach, you know there's sections that are fun to run through, and there are sections that are not. And all of a sudden, before the finish line for everybody else, I found myself here where it's hot. There was no one cheering me on. There was no breeze. No bands were playing. Nothing. And I was like, I've got 13 miles of this, and I just have to keep running. One foot in front of the other. One of the things that kept me going was I remembered this. I remembered at the end of the race, there would be a finish line. Not just me finishing by myself. Not just weird grassy bank that I could pass out on. Like people cheering and screaming and yelling and excited, and this thing would be done. And I want to encourage you guys, there's a finish line. Like in life, there's a very real finish line. And we don't set it. God sets it, right? The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. He is in charge of that finish line. But get there. Know it's there. And I'm reminded of that Psalm 35. It says, your joy comes in the morning. And so I don't know where you guys are at. But if you're running that race and it's hard, it's dark, there's hurdles, there's speed bumps, know that that morning is coming, that joy is coming. I'm going to pray and then we're going to close out with a song. And then after that song, I'm going to ask the elders to come up and join me. And I want to encourage anyone in here who's struggling in the race, please come on up. Can we pray for you? Can we encourage you? At the very least, when we're all done, please come on up and let us be with you. Let me pray and then we'll do one final song. Father God, we thank you